everybody. Welcome back to our latest installment of Real Women in Trucking. I'm still Gloria Hollins, administrative assistant here with Real Women in Trucking, working alongside president and founder Desiree Wood. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ms. Brita Nowak today. And you guys are going to, with me, learn quite a bit about Brita's entrance into trucking, how she got aligned with Real Women in Trucking, and some of the experiences that she's had along the way. Ms. Brita, would you mind introducing yourself?
Well, hi, my name is Brita Novak. I am the founder and owner of BratCat Express. I've been trucking for 20 years. That's it for now, unless you ask me more questions and I tell you more in detail.
All right. So can you tell me a little bit how you got into the trucking industry?
So, before I was a truck driver, I was in the movie industry in Los Angeles, television, mostly television. And I was 34 years old, and I thought, this is not going anywhere. And for Hollywood, I was considered old. And I still had that nagging thing with me for all these years that I wanted to be a truck driver. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to do it. So I went on the computer. I just put the keywords in trucking company with school. The first thing that came up, because alphabetically, was CR England. I clicked on it, applied, and off I went. There was no research done on nothing. I just knew what I wanted. I wanted my CDL. I wanted to get going. And then I'll figure it out as I go.
Absolutely. So you transitioned from Hollywood. Now, you guys, first of all, Miss Brita was on a show that I may or may not watch called Star Trek. I may or may not watch that show.
Voyager. Star Trek Voyager.
Yes.
The female cat.
Yes. I saw that episode and I saw you, and I'm holding in my geekdom. I'm very enthused to be talking to you. But this has nothing to do with that, but I just have to put it out there that I know. So you went online and you found the first school that came up alphabetically, no research. Can you tell me what your experience was like in trucking school?
My experience in trucking school. It started out pretty good. I showed up. Well, let's back up a little bit. I applied on Wednesday. I got the okay on Friday with the words, you know, you're highly overqualified. And I said, yes, I do know that, but this is what I want. And Monday I was in school. So just to see the timeline, but that was 20 years ago. Monday I started school. I was the only woman in a class of 29 people. And it started out with the drug testing, and 10 people were gone 2 days later. So, wow. And on to 19. Then a couple other people were dismissed when they had some background checks, maybe, I don't know. Every day, less people were there. And then after the written, all that's the school stuff where we had to learn the basics. We went into the yard and we started actually driving. That's when I knew I wanted to do this forever and ever. When I put it in the first gear and it started moving, tractor, trailer, that feeling, it's still there. After 20 years, that feeling is still there. It never gets old. And then I just learned, and then we had the next test, and more people went away. I think the ones that finally got their permit, we were, I think, 9. And out of us 9, only 5, after we got our CDL, went on with trainers. They would match us with trainers. We had to make it up to Salt Lake City. I was picked up by some CR England driver who I didn't know, just to get me a ride up there from Los Angeles. I got put on the truck with a trainer, and off I went. And within 2.5 weeks, my trainer had hit me, yelled at me. He fell asleep behind the wheel. He, I think I blocked a lot of stuff that he did because it's been so long and because I knew what I wanted. So I was just trying to stick it out. But I did inform CI England about that, and I was not taken seriously. And when my trainer finally hit an overpass in Seattle and didn't report it, I reported it for him, and CI England took me off the truck real quick and matched me with a wonderful trainer. So I finished my training the remaining month, because it's a 2 months training, with another trainer, and it was fantastic. And then I got my own truck. They put me in a solo truck, and again, off I went. But I knew that I wanted to have my own truck, my own name on the truck. I wanted to have my own trucking company. So that kept me going through whatever it was that may or may not have been right or good or proper. I knew I had to keep going. Yes.
Now, I love the fact that you have discussed your resilience, because a lot of women would have shut down in that experience.
I know. I don't know what to say to that. I don't want to sound not compassionate. I do understand that we are all very, very different. And it does not condone the behavior of my trainer. It does not mean what CI England did was right. None of that. That needs to be addressed. It needs to be brought to the surface. It needs to be nipped in the bud. It cannot be happen. But it did happen to me. But I knew what I wanted. So I pushed through. And I want to tell ladies who sit maybe somewhere in the truck somewhere crying, don't know if they can do it. Yes, you can. You can. You just put one foot in front of the other. You just drive one more mile. You watch out for your safety. When you know you're really in danger, yes, you need to get off the truck. You need to save your life. But all the other stuff, it's only temporary. It's only temporary. Once you're through that, you're on your own. You're out there in your own truck. You do your thing. You're going to love it. You're going to not even think back what it took to get there. You're just going to love it. It is true till this day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I was going to assume that your resilience has a lot to do with your upbringing, because you aren't originally from here, and you come from a country that is involved in one of my favorite pieces of history that I watched happen in the middle of the night and early morning hours. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
So I wasn't sure if I should bring that up, but now that you mention it, yes, I grew up in East Germany, and maybe that had something to do with my resilience, because I grew up on 2 types of bread. There was the dark bread and there was the white bread. And that was it. You have your choice. You had one brand of coffee, whether you like it or not, that's it. But you had coffee. So I grew up like that, and it was fine. So I can live on very little. I think the event that you are referring to that happened in the middle of the night, November 9th, 1989? Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I was 21.
Okay.
And it was still the most amazing event in my life. I mean, besides the birth of my son, but that's not historic, at least not yet. Who knows? Maybe one day I have to really, go back to the statement. But it was, I am glad that it happened without bloodshed. In fact, I just had this conversation earlier today, because it was a very bloody year that year all over the world. In China, Tiananmen Square, most of the Balkan states had trouble where a lot of people were killed. Now, East Germany did not have that happen. We had a lot of people killed the 10, 15 years before that trying to escape. But the actual bringing down the wall, this is so funny. It was a joyous moment because even the soldiers on the wall, they just, all right, I go too. It was the most peaceful bringing down a regime that you could have. I mean, it's the Germans, but it was the most amazing and life-changing forever and ever. Whenever I think about it, hey, if we were able to do that, we can do anything.
Now, were you physically there at the wall or?
So I was not physically there, but my parents were. That's even cooler. A 21
That's way cool.
That is, but my parents were actually there because I was deported 2 months before September. I was deported to West Germany for being very political active. And so they just got rid of me. And then when all these changes happened, and then that one night happened, I called my parents the next day and they said, oh yeah, we saw that on the news, on TV, and we went in the car and we went right over there. That's the coolest thing. That was one night of partying in West Berlin, because remember, West Berlin and East Berlin were next to each other, and West Berlin is within the territory of East Germany, and it just became one big party city that night.
That's amazing. What do I remember? I remember being 8 years old and my mom waking me up to see this. And I'm thinking at 8 years old, wow, that's amazing. People can change things. So it's funny to have the 8-year-old perspective versus the 21-year-old able to be active, able to make a stance decision. And I've never been to Germany, but I remember crying and being very happy for that little bit of something. And now that I think about it, all roads led to here because, like you, I am politically active and I get to do a little bit of that through Real Women in Trucking, which we're going to switch over and talk about a little bit. Yes. So you are a board member with Real Women in Trucking. What made you align with the group? How did you become aligned with the group?
That serendipity. I've been in, no, let's start this over. For what, maybe 15, 16 years. And I was just doing my thing. I was not involved with anything. I was really just busy enjoying having my company.
Your sound is gone.
Oh, my sound is gone.
Your sound is okay. Wait a minute. Why does my video keep stopping? Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to re-ask the question. We're going to try this again. Okay. So tell me about how you got involved with Real Women in Trucking.
So for a very long time, probably 15, 16 years, I was just running my trucking company, driving all over the country, enjoying myself, having a good time, and was not involved with anything. And in 2016, this is how it all started. In 2016, I for some reason, I don't know why, submitted myself for that Overdrive magazine Most Beautiful Truck Driver contest.
Oh,
Up till that moment, I never even thought about that because I thought it was a little silly. So I did it and I won. I was told that I was the winner, and 2 days later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was really bizarre. And so again, I was not paying attention to what else was going on with the whole controversy regarding this contest, because I was busy with the breast cancer and still driving my truck. And so when I showed up at Overdrive magazine at the Great American Truck Show for the ceremony, I already had my breast cancer surgery. I had my breasts removed. I was already in the middle of starting treatment. So I wasn't really aware of anything else. But it was important because people noticed me, even though I wasn't noticing anything. I was noticed. And so Road Pro came to me and asked me if I would like to be a product tester for them. And I was more than happy to do that. But Road Pro is also a big supporter of real women in trucking. And that's where the crossover started, where I was talking to people from Real Women in Trucking, still not knowing what it was. I had been approached maybe 5-6 years earlier by women in trucking, and I did not want to have anything to do with it. It did not look right to me, and I cannot explain why. It didn't look right, and I did not want to have anything to do with it. When Road Pro was the big sponsor for the Queen of the Road Award in 2019, I was invited to the Real Women in Trucking cruise. And that was part of the Queen of the Road Award show. And that's when I got to know everybody. And that was it. There was no turning back after that. I was amazed by it. And I became very close friends with Desiree. And yes, here I am now. I mean, I threw myself into it right away, like instantly, because it felt right immediately. Because those were all women truck drivers, real truck drivers who talked about real problems that really happened. There was no money talk.
wow, that's exciting. So you had the comparison of that other organization that I try not to personally name because no, it's okay. This is the progression of your story, so it's perfectly fine. But I personally believe words are powerful. And so I don't speak certain words because I don't like to give certain things power. So I'm going to choose not to speak the name of the other organization. And it's very interesting that you found that to not be a fit for you, but for you to find yourself, find a fit here at Real Women in Trucking. And so now that you've been a member for years and now that you're a board member, why is it so important to remain active in the organization?
We went into action so many times, and I was included, and I was thrown into it, and I loved it because on my own, I probably wouldn't have dared to do it. And I saw firsthand how we changed laws. We went to the Great American Truck Show, what was it, 2019? Yes, it must have been 2019. And we talked to then Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration boss, Ray Martinez. And we were fighting hard for the ELD to be more flexible, a lot more flexible. And it was implemented very soon after. The split sleeper berth, the reset, the 34-hour reset was a little bit.
Your sound is gone.
Completely gone? How?
It was gone for like a whole second. Now you're back. Your sound will stop and your video will lag. What is your internet connection saying as far as strength?
It should be really, really good here. I don't see a problem. I'm not in any weird.
Okay. All right. It's fine.
Thing. Well,
can we just pick up where you left off with the ELD?
So we truly changed. We were part of the change in the ELD mandate. And we definitely were fighting hard for changing the training system. That's when I realized that I must have been so traumatized that I don't even remember my trainer's name anymore. It is one of those things where your brain just blocks it. Because I put that away, I'm like, that's done. And now it all came up again. And I thought, well, if it happened to me, it must have happened to many, many, many more women. And then it turns out it did. And we are really trying very hard to make these major carriers accountable for it. We need to change something there. So in my capacity, since I'm not the greatest in public speaking, because this is my second language, English is not my first language. So I am the one that everybody sends the ride-alongs to, because if I know something to do, it's driving. I love to drive. I'm good at it. And I open my truck to anybody who wants to take a ride with me and see what it's like to be out there. And maybe it will change their perception. And maybe it will make them join our fight. So now your sound is gone.
I had my mute turned on. I'm so sorry. So I actually just watched an interview with you with the Florida Department of Transportation.
Oh.
I watched that whole interview, and I have to say, because I unfortunately have the position of being a native English speaker, and I speak a second language, and I don't even live in a country where we use the language. Well, we do use the language, but I don't get to use it very often. So I think you're a wonderful public speaker.
Oh, thank you.
You are so welcome. But I also love the fact that you are interested in taking on people for ride-alongs, because that's a really great way for people to kind of experience, hey, what is this like? What is a day in the life like? I also learned something very interesting about you. You like roundabouts because they're the easiest way to U-turn. Yes.
I really do. I love roundabouts. I just wish they would make them a little bit wider for us, and the curb needs to be like a grade. There should not be a curb. It should just be a gradation or something. Mm-hmm. That way we don't lose our rims and tires. Not that it ever happened to me in the round, but right. It might happen.
Absolutely. I pass a roundabout every morning, and since I've heard that interview, I'm like, okay, I understand why, because I live in a city in Alabama, and it's kind of in the middle of a city. We don't really have trucks in that area. So it's like, what is the point of these routes? Because they started popping up in the last 20 years. We didn't used to have them before. So most people didn't know how to drive them. And I was like, why do we have these? And so now I better understand, there's certain parts of the city where they're located, where they are to your advantage as a trucker. There is the one that I drive on every morning to take my kids to school that has no benefit to truckers whatsoever. But it's really fun to watch people who don't know how to do a roundabout do a roundabout.
Hopefully people get more comfortable with it. changed. It's really, what's the word? Effective, efficient. It's an efficient way of solving a traffic problem.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what is happening here. I know what's happening. Let me move my spectacles. There we go. All right. So we have talked about how you got aligned with Real Women in Trucking. We have talked about your experience in training, and I thank you so much for being able to share the bits of it that you can. But we're going to switch away from heavy things, kind of move into lighter things. So you are an owner operator and you're under your own authority. Is that correct?
So those are correct. That's a correct terminology, but it's also the same as just I'm owning my own company.
Right.
So it's BratCat Express, and I have my own authority, my own MC numbers, DOT numbers, and I own my truck and trailer. Yes.
So what does that freedom mean to you?
Well, so you said you were 8 and 89, so 80, 90. Did you grow up watching Oprah?
I did.
So
I loved Oprah.
Absolutely. So when I came over to United States in 92, at some point, I don't know when, I was watching Oprah a lot. And that mantra stuck with me. Own it. Own it.
I remember that.
You want to be free of this. You don't want to hear anything from this person. You don't want to own it. They don't want to rent that apartment to you. Buy the building.
Absolutely.
So after 2 years driving for companies, the first 2 years, almost to the day when any insurance company would take me after 2 years, I bought my first truck on credit card, and off I went, and nobody could tell me anything anymore. So of course, with that privilege, responsibility and obligation comes with it. I am responsible for making the repairs, paying the bills, finding the right loads, being up with all the permits, just run a business.
Right.
And I mean, it's exciting. I don't know any other way of being.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So we're going to pause here, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to share any advice, any additional advice that you may have for young women who are looking to enter the field of trucking.
Wear work boots. Number one, please don't wear flip-flops on the truck. I know we all want to look pretty. That's protect your feet. Seriously, always hold on with 2 hands when you're going in and out of a truck, because I have fallen out of a truck and that was not cool. So it really doesn't matter much which company you pick. They're all good and bad. There's a mix. They all mixed the good with the bad together. So it really doesn't matter, in my opinion, where you get your CDL. Maybe you get lucky and you get paired with a really good trainer, or maybe with not so good trainer. Whatever it is, you need to keep your goal in front of you. What is it what you want? Because what you're really gonna learn is all later. You're gonna learn most of the stuff on your own out there. In those 2-3 months training, you learn how to drive the truck in between the white lines on a highway. They don't teach you how to drive in Philadelphia. You have to figure that out on your own. Have confidence in yourself. I always ask the question, do trucks deliver there? Yes. Well, then I can do it. And don't give up. Don't ever give up. it's okay to sit in the back of the truck, close the curtain, and cry your eyes out. It's okay. I mean, we all do it. You just sit there, cry, then it's all gone. Then you make a fist, open the curtain, and then you keep going.
That is, so that knowledge or that last bit of information isn't just for people on a truck, just life in general. Cry it out, let it out, then move forward with your fist.
Yeah, fist first. You have to, because it's a visual.
Yes.
It's your eyes see, tell the brain, and then you tell yourself even, I got this, I'm gonna do this, fist first. And if you do fail, at least you fail with your fist first.
Right. I love that. So I also like to ask questions that have very little to do with the trucking side of things, but more because being a woman on a truck is challenging. Being a person on a truck, when that's all you do is go over the road, can be a challenge. So what do you do to keep yourself entertained on long hauls?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. In the beginning, I used to listen to music, but it's the same music over and over and over again. So then I discovered podcasts, educational podcasts, I'm talking. A lot of how you do this, and it gets explained, or how to think about certain stuff. Or I listen to how quantum physics is explained, how that goes, or some mathematical thing, or how stars develop. If anything, it doesn't even have to be anything that I was ever interested in. It doesn't matter. I just stuff myself with knowledge all day long. I listen to psychological stuff or forensics, or it really doesn't matter. You get the idea, right? Just
I do. I get the idea. So
and then I listened to it all day long. After a while, 5 hours went by, and I'm in 5 states further down the road, like that.
oh wow, that's exciting. See, so you are the second person to mention podcasts. Everybody else is like music. I do music. I think somebody said they do audiobooks, but literally you're the second person that said that podcasts are their things. I'm a lifelong learner, so I applaud other lifelong learners. And I love the fact that your go-to is podcast because, like you said, it's the same music. Like, yes, they make new music, but I don't really like new music. I like my old music, but you can only listen to old music so many times before it's old music again. And it reminds you that you are now probably old, or older than you were the first time you heard it. Like, I have an 80s playlist that I absolutely adore. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the mom dancing in the kitchen. I'm not the little kid dancing in the kitchen anymore, so I definitely understand. The next question, what kind of freight do you haul?
I always pride myself that I feed the nation. My favorite to haul is produce, seafood, frozen, refrigerated. It seems like I get really lucky with French fries, frozen French fries. Those are high-paying loads, actually, and they are light, and you can't ruin them. But it's all food.
Oh wow, well that's important because we need food. I also need to be able to call restaurants and get French fries. That always needs to be able to happen. Well, Miss Brita, I thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me today. That is literally all of the questions I have, and I have. Yeah, that's it. And I've really enjoyed talking to you. And one of these days, I'm gonna have to pick your brain about history and Star Trek. That's the thing that's very much going to happen when you are available to do so. I'm going to stop the recording right here.